Hello everyone, I'm Sahar and you're watching Rethink with Sahar. This is a space where we rethink ideas, we rethink thoughts, and try to look at everything in new light. Today we have among us Stephen Howard. You're welcome, Stephen. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you. Good morning. Pleasure to be here.
Very good morning. Every moment I say is a beautiful morning, beautiful beginning. So, you talk about human mindset in Humany Mindset in your book, Humany Mindset. So, I have heard about human, I have heard about harmony, and so many similar words. But what is this Humany Mindset?
Well, it's a word I created. Combining those words, I combine human, humanity, and harmony.
Wow.
I came with this concept called humany, and it reflects our need to build and live lives of connection and well being and harmony with one another.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. We as human beings, yes, we tend to, it's a very beautiful and a very popular thing, not even a quote anymore, but somebody said it sometime that we are social human beings.
Yeah.
Yes, we need to live together. And how do you think, how would you describe this humany mindset, apart from the word humany and uh, what are the ingred that you told us about the three ingredients: humanity, human, and harmony? So, what does it the combination comes out like?
Well, I define it, Sahar, as the practice of treating all human beings with peacefulness, compassion, kindness, and respect, and
Wow.
being intentional around those four elements as we interact with each other as human beings.
Hmm. As we interact with each other as human beings means not only as social beings or economical beings or religious beings. Is that what you want to say?
Yeah. I mean, if we could focus, or if we stopped focusing, let me turn it around. If we stop focusing on what divides us, because we
Hmm.
cannot continue to allow what divides us as individuals to undermine what unites us as human beings, and we're all members of the same Homo sapiens fraternity. I mean, we are all biologically interconnected with one another. I think some scientists say we have like 99.999 in common with every other human being on the planet.
Exactly. We all look alike. We all are, the biology is the same, the psychology is the same. And yes, we are all alike. And then why not treat each other as alike? And what do you think is at the, and like you say, we are all alike, but still we stand divided. What is it at the core of the reason behind all this division? We know religions, they are meant to unite, but many a times we see so many the violence and things, like bloodshed happening in the name of religion, politics, nations, caste, racism, and all that. So all this all divides us. What is at the core of this basic human division?
It's interesting that we form connections, Sahir, or we form groups for the purpose of exclusion. So we form
Oh, yeah.
groups with religious, even football fans, around whether it's soccer football or American football, baseball, basketball fans, religion, politics, nations, ethnic um, countries. We label ourselves with these identifiers for the purpose of excluding others. And so we focus on what's different instead of what we have in common. As you say, we all have the same biology. We're all experience this journey called life. Um,
Yeah.
and it's a sentient journey. We're all going to be born, live, and die. And that is a common experience every one of us is going to have. And yet we want to focus on what's different, what divides us. And it's
Yes.
just crazy. So, one of the things I often tell people, because everyone's angry all the time these days, and everyone wants to give everyone, tell them they're wrong, I'm right, and give them a peace of mind. I tell people you'll be a lot more happier, you'll be a lot more self-satisfied, and you're going to have greater internal peace when you give someone peace, Peace, peace from your heart rather than a piece of your mind. And that's a mindset change. And that's what Humany Mindset is all about, changing that mindset.
Wow, beautiful. From thinking in terms of division, of in terms of groups. Like whenever somebody talks about groups, I'm very much reminded of that beautiful book by Dr. Seuss. It's I don't remember the name exactly, but I remember the story. There are two groups. They're living cordially with each other, but one day one of them realizes that the other groups, while this the group A puts butter on top of the bread, the group B puts butter on bottom of the bread, and this is the beginning of the conflict, the differences that they notice, and then it goes on to wars and war crimes and mass
Yep.
murders and all those things. So
And
this
everything.
is
Yeah.
anything that may trigger that thing in us.
What's
So,
what's triggering us today, I believe, is social media and the so-called cable news channels.
oh
And they're
yes,
really not news channels.
oh,
They're anchors spewing their own political
fire.
beliefs. Yeah, yeah, their own fire. Exactly. I mean, you know, we need a Surgeon's General warning about cable television. I mean, just as cigarettes are bad for the lungs, crap media and crap social media message are bad for our brains, bad for our mindsets, and bad for our mental wellness. And I'll tell you one thing, I stopped watching cable news about 6, 7 years ago. Totally,
Beautiful.
at all. Even if I'm walking in an airport, I just refuse to stop and look at it. My blood pressure dropped 20 points.
Wow, that's so beautiful. That's such an amazing observation that your blood pressure got better.
Yeah, because
Wow,
I'm not going to be inflamed by the rhetoric of
that's right.
the television station, the news
You
channels, and
don't
so.
believe me, since I have stopped watching these cable news and even the news on social media and all. So my anxieties have gone down so
I'm
much.
sure. I'm
Yeah,
sure
that
it
you're
has.
very much, yeah, you're very much right in that.
And so,
Yeah,
I
so
tell people, look, you don't have to drop it completely like I do. That was my personal choice. But I tell you what, don't watch it in the morning. Try it for 2 weeks. Don't watch it in the morning. From the time you wake up to the time you get to your office, or whether it's home office or you go to a physical workplace, and see how
mhm.
your mental attitude is different during those 2 weeks.
Oh
Don't
yes.
listen to the radio. Listen to music on the radio if you want, or listen to an
Yeah.
audio book in the car or whatever. But don't listen to news on the radio. Don't watch news channels in the morning while you're getting dressed and having your breakfast and doing all your morning duties. And just see what your mental attitude is over those 2 weeks and see how much different it is and how much better it's going to be.
Wow. You are very much right about that. You're very much right about that. Taking the negativity out of your life, that sense of division that we were talking about.
Yes.
Because when we are talking about say we somebody is reporting a crime. First of all, it's a crime. Okay, it has to be reported. That's okay. But the way they are reporting, this person this belonged to such and such race or such and such country, or he was an immigrant or she was an immigrant. So they group them at
Mhm.
that time,
Yeah.
and that makes all the difference. So, uh, coming back to humany mindset, how can humany mindset change the world?
Well, I'll be the first to tell you it won't solve the Middle East peace crisis. It won't solve
Oh,
world
yeah.
hunger, okay? But it will for all of us. We all have the agency to make our little pieces of the world better, whether it's our communities, just our shopping experiences, our schools, our playgrounds, our workplaces. And so just doing little things, just showing kindness, compassion, peace to each other throughout our day will have a cascading effect. If I show kindness to you, and then you go and show kindness to two other people, and those two other people show kindness to it just, by the end of the week, thousands of people just have
A
had some
chain
sense of kindness or peacefulness brought to them, and then they've passed it on.
pass it on, yeah.
Yeah.
And that is like a chain reaction. If negativity has a chain reaction, they say if you treat somebody with a negative emotion, that emotion is going to be passed on.
Yeah.
Even the positive, even if you do not even do much of a kindness, just smile with kindness,
Mhm.
you you trigger that kindness in the other person with your smile even.
Yeah.
That's gonna happen.
And it will cascade. And here's for your viewers. Here's what I mean by a mindset change.
Hmm.
I live in Arizona, and we have homeless here, not as bad as some parts of the United States, but we have some homeless here, and they're referred to as left lane losers because they stand near the left-hand turn lanes with their little cardboard
Hmm.
signs asking for money. And
Yeah,
just that concept, left lane losers. And when I say when I say these words, I want your audience to picture, what are you picturing? What are you thinking? You're thinking of a homeless person. You probably think they're a deadbeat, that they're lazy, they're a druggie, um, that all these negative things we think about that individual. Let me tell you something, Sahar. If I ever was so unfortunate to be penniless and kicked to the street with no family support, I'm not sure I could survive day to day. I think I would take a bottle of rum and a handful of sleeping pills and say, thank you, I've had a nice life. I'm not going to struggle. So I now look at these people as resilient. They get up
yeah,
and struggle every day to live, just to breathe, to make it through the every day. Now, by thinking of them differently, not as losers, but as people with resiliency, with strength, with toughness, my perspective of them is totally different.
totally
It doesn't
changed.
mean I give them more money or less money. I may not behave, but I'll certainly smile at them. I certainly will interact with them more kindly. I don't look at them and shake my head at them or give them the finger or anything like that. I treat them with respect. They are in a tough spot, but they're
That
human beings.
yeah, that realization is very important because I or you or anybody else as a human being, we are in a certain situation. We have all those comforts around us. Maybe a comfort, for example, in the case of these homeless people, we have we take for granted a house around us,
Mhm.
a home around us, a family. They don't have it. They don't have the basic thing. And yeah, today I realized that how negatively we tend to look at people, tend to look at others who are, we don't even realize that they are less fortunate. We always tell ourselves that there are people who are less fortunate than ourselves. But when those less fortunate come in front of us, we are not able to recognize that these are the ones who are actually less fortunate than
Yeah,
ourselves.
they're having a tough day, and then so often I talk to people, and they'll see me give a couple of dollars, and they say, "Well, why are you doing that? They're just going to use it for booze." And I said, what do you do when you've had a tough day at the office? Oh, I go home and pour myself a whiskey. So why, again, they're human beings. They're having a tough day. I don't, if they want to spend $2 on a cheap bottle of booze, that's their choice. I hope they don't. I hope they buy an apple with it or something healthy, but that's going to be their
Yeah,
choice. But they're the ones struggling, not me. So
yeah,
so I'm not going to say I'm not going to give them money because they might buy a cigarette or they might buy alcohol. We all have our ways of getting through life. And most of us, when we have a tough day at work, we either stop at a bar on the way home or, we go home and, open a bottle of wine or whatever our favorite beverage is. And we have an adult beverage and that's how we unwind. Well, we're human beings. They're human beings.
they are human beings.
Mindset change.
We
That's
tend
all
to
about.
yes, we tend to forget that this person is a human being, that person is also a human being, and there is a connection that is in between, and that is of harmony and humanity that has to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. And
That's
we're missing that. We're missing that in so many areas of our country right now, so many areas of the world. We're missing that thinking that we're dealing with human beings. Same thing when I talk to leaders, by the way. I talk to leaders about, and I call it Humany leadership. I said, look, you have to realize you are leading human beings. You're not leading assets. You're not leading resources. You're
Oh,
not going
yes.
to manage people. You need to lead human beings, and that again is a mindset change or how you become a good leader in today's world.
Beautiful. That again, that concept of leading, of managing, of word. The other day only, I was thinking about the word resources. We have resources. I have some money in my account. That's my resource. I have some credit on my card. That's my resource. I have some properties on my name. That's my resource. And I have some people working for me, and that's my resource. There's some difference between humans and the
Yeah,
resources. So why they should be called human resources? Why
exactly.
not human assets or human, uh, just human beings?
Human being. You know what? I've advocated in some talks I've given around the country that we should rename the Human Resource Department the Human Capabilities Department, and their focus should be on
Exactly.
developing and growing the people within the organization. And look, there is some aspect because of legalities of HR, and I would say call it human resource operations. You've got your DEI, your compliance issue. That's the word I'm looking for.
Mhm,
Sorry.
mhm,
So
mhm.
all that compliance stuff, the paperwork, those are all very important, particularly in today's legalistic society. But put that under
Definitely.
HR operations department and create another section called human capabilities department. And it's the
Wow.
one that hires, onboards, trains, develops people, teaches leaders how to be better coaches, how to be better mentors, because not all the training needs to come from the HR department, but teach our leaders better skills, better people leadership skills.
Wow. That's such a beautiful idea. That's such a novel idea. That's uh, uh, treating people as people and not as resources,
Yeah.
something that can be used. No,
Yeah.
humans are humans and need to be treated as humans.
Exactly. And I in my talks, I'll ask the audience beginning talk, is it your job to manage people? Raise your hand if you think yes. And like 90% of the people raise their hand. I said, no. You
Wow.
manage processes, you manage policies, you manage procedures, you manage policies, you lead human beings, and that their eyes just like open up and think. I said, nobody wakes up in the morning, Sahar, and says, I can't wait to be managed by my boss today. And certainly
Something wrong.
no one has ever said, I can't wait to be micromanaged by my boss today or any
Exactly.
other day. So people don't want to be managed, they want to be led.
Yeah.
And again, that's a mindset change of how you deal, whether you're a leader of a 4-person team, a 400-person department or division, or 4,000-person company. You're leading human beings, and you need to change the way you think about that to be successful long term.
Mm. That's such an amazing idea. People want to be led. They want to be loved. They want to be cared for. Like if you walk into an office, they do not want the way you said micromanaged. That's not what we human beings are for. We are different. We are today only. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with that quote, but I read it today only that after all, we human apes are the most important animals to be taken care of on this earth. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with that or disagree with that. I won't say that. But yes, we as human beings are very, very important because we have the capability and we are doing it. We're changing the world, we're changing the earth, we're changing the universe,
Mhm.
and we need to be taken care of. One wrong idea, and ideas are the mental viruses. They can be good, they can be bad. And
Mhm.
once a bad idea goes into your mind, it can wreak havoc around.
Mhm. It
And
does.
and in that sense, If we are able to give ourselves good ideas, kind ideas of love and compassion, of humanity, of care, then of course it's going to be, the world is going to be a different place. Then perhaps then perhaps we won't be that much worried about the negative impacts of AI. We know the positive impacts, but the way we are scared, for example, just we are scared of what AI may do to humanity. We won't be scared that much if we live in that humanity mindset. What do you think?
I agree. If we have that humane mindset, we'll be less fearful. We'll be less afraid, less scared. Um, going back to what you were just talking about, also in the workplace, the other thing people really want, they want to grow, they want to develop. And that's why I called it the Human Capabilities Department. And that's why I think, one of the key responsibilities of leaders is to grow their people, develop their people. And that's where you get customer, or sorry, not customer loyalty, but employee loyalty is, if I'm being grown in an organization, if I'm learning, if I'm being stretched and being respected and treated with kindness and treated with compassion, I'm not going to go somewhere else for a couple $1,000s a year. I'll stay loyal to my company. It's a good environment. And when you have that good environment, research shows creativity increases, innovation increases, collaboration increases, um, drama decreases, employee leaving decreases, employee retention
Mhm.
goes up, obviously.
Yeah,
So it's all about creating the right environment, and it's how we approach life with our mindset and how we view things and how we bring that mindset into our workplaces or into our schools, our communities, our playgrounds, our shopping experiences, our airports. I mean, our airports are dens of uncivility these days.
exactly.
you
Well,
know,
yeah,
flying used to be a fun experience. That's probably the only place I'm fearful these days is when I go to an airport. It's like I'm just afraid
you
what's
never
going
know
to
what's
break
gonna
out.
happen. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's right. And so, talking about these fears, this, what do you think has made us the way we are? This
we focus
fear.
on us. We focus on what's in it for me,
Yeah,
WIIFM, too often, and on everything. We're we're so afraid of losing what we have. Um, and we've had some tough economic years. We've had some tough political years in the United States, but even globally. I
yeah,
mean, let's put the United States
globally.
aside for a second, but even globally, I find this. I mean, I lived in Asia for 21 years. I lived in Australia for 12 years, in
Hmm.
Mexico for 3 years, and I've seen this all over the world. This tendency to focus on what divides us instead of what unites us, and in many ways, you said earlier, religion divides us, politics divides us. We've got leaders around the world, but particularly in this country, who focus on divisions. Who focus on nastiness. I mean, we've got
That's right.
we have a president of the United States who calls a journalist on Air Force One a piggy. Now, Air Force One is a workplace environment. The president was working. The
Yeah,
journalist was working. Air Force One is like an office building. If I said that to somebody in an office environment, I'd be fired. If I said that to a
exactly.
colleague, shut up, Miss Piggy, like in a meeting, and rightfully so, I should be escorted out of the building. Well, we're not. Our leaders are not setting the right standards for us anymore,
That's
and
right. We have lost those standards.
that kind of conduct is not setting the right standard for everyone, our adults, but even our children. Our children are picking up on this, and they say, "Well, if the
Oh,
president can
yes.
say, why can't
Yes. Why can't
that's
we?
the way the world is?" And so I'm going to be rude to people, and we need to find all leaders, political leaders, sports athletes, professional coaches, business executives, need to start setting better standards that people will look up to. And
Yes,
we don't
that
have that in today's world.
we do not have the. There was a time when there were people like Martin Luther King and
Mhm.
Mahatma Gandhi and Nelson Mandela and people who had a character,
Yes.
who in a way, by this word I mean that they led people not only for their own personal reasons, but
Yeah.
for actually the goodness of most of the people
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
the world.
Yes.
So that was the welfare of the people was what they aimed at. And now in this, and it's very kind of very hopeful when you talk about humani mindset,
Yeah.
that we need to talk not from division, but uh, from unity and union. And one thing that I would like to mention here is like as kids, uh, we uh, like even as adults, we like to ask our kids, "Who are you? What do you want to be? What
Hmm.
is in it that is yours?" So we're teaching them what is yours and what is mine.
Yeah.
So I think this can be taken care of at those root levels.
Absolutely. In talking with you, it reminds me of there was a wonderful TV series called The Newsroom. And in the
Hmm.
pilot show, there's three people on a panel discussion in front of a group of university students. And one of the journalists is asked a question. And in it, he says, well, first of all, he says America is no longer the greatest country in the world, and he explains why and blah blah blah. But in it, he makes a great point. I'll never forget. He says we used to declare war on poverty, not poor people,
Yes.
and that's what you were talking about. We used to have leaders who had the bigger mindset. Even Lyndon Johnson, it's surprising. Lyndon Johnson, we would have thought the Texan good old boy in the U.S. Senate for many years, and he had his faults, obviously, but his whole civil rights movement that he led as president of the United States changed the country dramatically for the better. And we haven't solved everything, but that's the kind of leadership we need today. The
Me today.
Bobby
Yes.
Kennedys, the Lyndon Johnsons, as you say, the Gandhis, the leaders who had the bigger picture and wanted to create. And that's the underlining foundation for Humany Mindset. I mean, the goal for Humany Mindset really is to understand that we all have the agency to change a small part of the world. And we all have an agency to create a better world for our children and grandchildren to inherit. Now, again, we're not going to solve world hunger or famines in Africa, but we can make our cities, our country, our communities a better place for our children and grandchildren to inherit. And it starts with a human mindset.
That's right. And a better mental space. If
Mhm.
not a physical space, but a mental space we will be creating for them that is harmonious, that is cordial to them, in which they can be more comfortable and live a happier life.
Yes. Yeah. Well, without a doubt. And then at the end of the day, when we approach life from this standpoint, look, I'll be the first to admit, I've been the angry white male in my life. I've been the angry executive. I've been the privileged person who, snaps at a customer service person and says, you know what, I'm a gold card holder. I deserve that. I've changed. I had to change my mindset, and I changed it when I wrote this book. That's part of my life journey. But having this human mindset means that we're going to approach life. I'm going to approach the rest of my life with the desire to make the journey of life better for ourselves and for others. And it just comes down to that very simple thing: just make life better for everyone we interact with.
That's right. That's right. And with these good words, I would thank you for being here. And that's a beautiful message that you're giving, Stephen. The humane mindset, live with a mindset that's full of compassion and unity, and which gives hope right? And thank you so much for such a beautiful message today. And friends, see you next time, next weekend. Yeah, weekend on Saturday at 11 a.m. EST. Thank you so much. Until then, have a great week.
Thank you for the opportunity to talk with you. I enjoyed it.
Thank you so much.